Hello and how the hell are you guys? Welcome back to the Greasy Paint channel with me, Kenny K, your favorite painter with the pompadour. Now, two things I want to tell you guys right off the bat. If you plan to paint along with me today, make sure you break out these following items along with your linseed oil, your clear gel, your liquid clear, your magic clear, whatever transparent medium you guys prefer, that's the one you should use. Just be sure to put the thinnest coat possible onto that black canvas. And the second thing I have to tell you guys is actually a very big announcement, so stay tuned. All right, I'm just finishing up putting some Viridian Hue all over the top part of this canvas here because we're going to have something very special in the sky today for the Northern Lights. But before we go any further, are you guys ready to hear the big news?
Tell me!
Okay folks, well here it goes. You see, this is going to be my last painting that I do on this channel.
What?
Why?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
What I should have said was, this is going to be the last painting that I do on this channel for season 1. That's right, folks. You see, this now marks the 10th video I've made as a full painting from start to finish in real time. And with that, I'm going to call it the season 1 finale. Now, until season 2 debuts, I have so many ideas, so much painting related content that I plan to put out. There's going to be a Q&A video, there's going to be a review. I think you guys are all going to love it. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere.
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
But in order to know when those videos go live, you have to click the like and subscribe buttons below as well as the notification bell so you can keep updated with everything. Now, for all my current subscribers, all my friends and family that have supported me from the beginning, all of you with your lovely comments and feedback, I just can't tell you all how much I appreciate it. Seriously.
I just wanted to say thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner.
So we'll get going. I know you've waited long enough.
It's been 84 years.
All right, so let's take the number 6 fan brush, go into some titanium white right here. And now, with that titanium white, we're just gonna place certain spots on the canvas, kind of like make lines, but we're gonna tap them in. For example, I'm gonna do this. And all I'm doing is just tapping. Just tapping.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy.
And I'm not going too firm, and I'm not going too soft. And we'll make another one here. And how about one more? It's working out so good. I think I want one more. We'll put it right here. And don't worry about these lines being perfectly straight or anything. This is just going to be sort of a guide. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is take a 1-inch brush and go over to where we had these lines. I'm going to start with the top one. And remember when we had the Viridian Hue already up there? Well, since we put the titanium white on there, this is what happens to that transparent color. Now, look at that. Isn't that cool? See? What do you think?
I have several questions.
Well, once again, we put a transparent color on top of that black canvas after we put the liquid clear on, or the linseed oil, whatever transparent medium you guys prefer using. This is what happens. And Viridian Hue is a transparent color, like phthalo blue or alizarin crimson, just to name a few. And you can use those colors for here as well. I will be making more Northern Lights paintings in the future, so maybe I'll save those colors for future paintings. And I'm just lifting. Starting where we made those lines and just lifting. There we are. You keep lifting. You can keep going over it as much as you want. So that's the second line. Let's do the third. Okay. Beautiful. And again, you don't have to do, your brush stroke shouldn't be too firm and it shouldn't be too soft. And you make these lights shine and look vibrant by just going over and going over it again. As much as you want or as little as you want. But I'd say this is about pretty good for me. And now what we do is take a clean, dry 2-inch brush that we have not used yet and just starting from the bottom, sweep all the way to the top like that. There we go. Straight up, straight up. Beautiful.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
Now let's go ahead and put a nice big mountain somewhere here, because where you see these northern lights, well, it's obviously up in the north where it's cold, and those big mountains are just covered in snow and everything, but we have to actually make the base and the silhouette of the mountain first. And you know what? Viridian Hue, you can just take Viridian Hue and Cad Red to make a dark color. It's gonna make a dark brown, or at the very least, I just want to keep this value of these two colors really dark. And maybe that's too much red, so we just add more Viridian Hue. And you just keep playing with this color until you get it right. Just take your time, however long it takes.
2 hours later.
All right, I think that's good enough. So we pull it out flat, right? And we cut across, get a roll of paint that looks just like that. And if you're not sure on how to get this far in the painting, click on the upper right-hand corner. That's my tutorial for a transparent medium using it on a black canvas. And as for the mountains, if you're having trouble with that, I have a tutorial for that too. And you can click on that link and find out while I take forever deciding where the hell this mountain's going to be now. I know I want a mountain here, and yet I don't know where the hell to put it.
Early the next morning.
All right, right about here. Okay, well, that's where it goes now. Okay, and you'll find often you have to come back to that roll of dark paint. You pull it out flat, get that roll. How about another peak right there? And I'm just scraping off fairly hard here. You can hear how hard I'm scraping with that knife. Again, I go over this in detail with my mountain tutorial. Okay, maybe that's not enough color there to make sure it's powerful enough to go over those lights. But you just keep going over it. And there we are. Now I'm going to take that 2-inch brush and just try to wipe off as much of that Viridian Hue and white we picked up in the beginning when we did that. You don't have to fully clean it yet. There's not much paint. Because we're going to need it to do this. We have to grab, be careful how you grab this. Don't put the brush above that peak. You can sort of just line it up like this, and you grab that paint and you spread it out going down there like that. We're doing this for 2 reasons. We have to get rid of excess paint, so this way the highlights on top of that will stick better. And we're just kind of planning out where we're putting those highlights too. This is what I usually refer to as the blueprint of the mountain, because we're just planning out where we're going to put those highlights. And you just keep messing with this for as long as you feel you need to, until you think to yourself, hey, I like that layout. I think that's how I'm going to have the highlights. All right. Now I'm actually going to take some titanium white and put it right about here maybe, and then mix up some Viridian Hue, not a lot, or don't start off with a lot, because Viridian Hue is actually a very powerful color. Remember folks, just because a color is transparent doesn't mean it's not strong. Trust me, like I said, phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, those are strong colors and they're transparent, but you really don't want to underestimate them. Look, I have that much Viridian Hue on top of that white. Look how much it's going to change it. I just want to be very careful. Now, if that's too green for you, you always add a little bit more white. But the reason why I don't want it pure white is because, to me, those lights are just so bright in the sky, it's reflecting down on that white snow and that cold mountain. So that just makes sense to me like that. Pull it out flat, get your roll of paint. That's how I do it. And there it is. Now, the trick to doing this is as soon as you feel that roll of paint hit the canvas, that's it. No more pressure, no more, no less. For example, okay, I feel it on the canvas, and now that's when I move my knife. And all those little breaks and details that are happening, it just happens. I'm not doing a thing. That's how you make it work for you. So we have another peak up here, right? So we have to do it again. And just, I feel that roll of paint hit the canvas, and I sort of drop my elbow and turn the knife at the same time, and it just happens. Cool, right? And you'll find after each highlight, it's kind of like you have to go back in there and do it again. So I get all quiet doing it because that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a very gentle touch. You can lift the knife off the canvas too, if you find that helps. Okay, flatten it out again. Get a roll of paint, and maybe this comes around over here and just goes down. Oh yeah. I like that I did that. I don't like this. Okay, I can fix this little thing here. Everything is fixable. Fixable?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I think I'm around too much paint thinner. No, just kidding. Everything is fixable. And you just have to believe that. If you're having trouble doing this method, I think it's because you're having trouble believing that, you just have too much pressure painting. And you got to remember to paint to express, not to impress. See, there you go. Much better. Like I said, everything is fixable. You just have to believe so, and most importantly, you have to believe in yourself.
So never give up. Believe, believe, believe.
You can do it!
So let's continue. Okay, we have another peak. Is that the last one? All right, kind of makes me sad. And maybe it's just a little bit, because this one's back here. And there we are. Look, notice I'm doing very short strokes. Okay. Now, I'm not going to bother to clean my knife because now I need a shadow color, and not as dark as the mountain base, but not as light as the lights and obviously the highlights. So let's see what happens when we go into that mountain color we made. We mix it with a little white. I want a kind of a light grayish tone here. That might be it, actually. That might be it. Okay, pull it out flat. There we go. And see how I just used what I already have that was already on the palette. Now, let's start with this one, and same thing, gentle touch. Gentle touch. It's a little small area over here, so that's why I'm doing it like this. And I'm happy with that color, so let's continue. Pull that flat, grab that roll of paint up here. It's a little bit of a tight spot, but that's okay. I believe in myself. I believe in you guys too, so should you. There we are. Okay. Let's try to go right here. Nice. Could have used a little bit of a bigger roll. That's all right. We're going to go over it again anyway. There we are. I think I had just enough paint for it. This is really cool. Because we have one more peak, and that's right up here. And actually, you know what? A little trick is I'm going to load only half the knife since it's such a small area. It's a little trick you can do. There we are. If you've missed some spots or you run out of paint, just go back into it. It's not a big deal. You have this tiny, tiny area up here. You probably can't even see it. All you do is load this part of the knife, the top part right there. Just load it the same way. I'm going to just dig into it like that. There we go. You probably can't even see that on camera. I don't know. But that's all you need to do. And just sneak up in there and just go. If you wanted, you can really do all your highlights and shadows like that. Okay. I'm going to wipe the knife for a second. Go back into the bright highlight color. And now you can just do detail work. You have most of the mountain set out, so I want a little bit more snow over here, so that's where I'm gonna put it. See? How about a little bit right here? Sometimes you might run out of paint when you get towards the bottom, and if you're unhappy with that, this is how you fix it. But still, a very gentle touch. That does not change. Okay, I can wipe the knife off, sneak up over here, and just tiny bit, just a tiny pull, drag some of that light over to the left. Makes it look a little bit more natural. There we go. Now I have two 2-inch brushes here, but they're both pretty dirty, and we actually have to fully clean them before we can continue on. And while I do that, I want to take this time to show off a few paintings. Now this one is from Keith Hayes, and he followed along to my Sub-Zero painting. Very good work, Keith. And this one's from Steve Harris from the UK, and he followed along to my tree tutorial. Very good job. And once again, from Miss Jennifer Beebe, this is an original painting of hers, and you did a great job on painting those mountains. Seriously, all of you should be proud of yourself. And especially Mr. Bob Daniels. Look at that, painting along to my previous landscape. Great job. And this one comes from another Steve. I'm not going to bother to pronounce your last name because I know I'm going to butcher that. But Steve, you have progressed very, very well. But seriously, guys, even though it's my channel, I don't like making it all just about me. I like supporting other artists and showing off their work because I know how it is. As a matter of fact, I hope you stay with me because I will actually be having a guest on this video in a little bit teaching you about the Northern Lights, the actual Northern Lights, not just painting. So, what's next? Okay, well, we got our clean, dry 2-inch brush. And now I'm just gonna go down here, and I'll actually start over here because it's darker here. And actually, no, this way. What am I doing? All right, and starting at the very bottom, but I'm gonna be careful not to go too far up. I'm just gonna tap the base. Tap the base. Just gonna tap it out. And what's happening is the bottom of that mountain is starting to look like fog and mist, just making it look very, very natural until it disappears into nothing. I think in cold places like this, and where you can see the northern lights, they have something called ice fog. I'll turn the brush around now so I don't get the white over here. Yeah, ice fog. That's a no-no for me. I've mentioned plenty of times on this channel, not a fan of the cold. And here in New York, winter is almost over. I am looking forward to springtime, all those flowers blooming. And then, you know, the summer and the beaches. I'm that kind of guy. But winter landscapes are a beautiful thing. I'm just wiping off excess paint now on my shop towel, and I'm just gonna follow the angle. See how we went down like this? Now we're gonna go the opposite way and lift. And you can turn the brush this way. Okay, whoop, picked up a little paint there. If that happens, just tap it out and brush it away. See how easy? You can't go wrong with this technique. Oils are very, very forgiving. And I'm doing this very, very lightly. And here too. And there we are. Perfect.
Nice.
Okay, let's grab that palette again. Grab a little bit of Viridian Hue, a little bit of everything really. Go into a little bit of dark, go into a little bit of light here. And there we go. We kind of have a color that we haven't used yet. Still using the number 6 fan brush, and it's gonna make some evergreen, pine, or spruce trees, whatever you want to call them, in the background here. And that's why we're using this color. We'll get darker as we come forward. And it kind of helps too if you crunch the brush like that and load it like that way on the palette, which is the same way we'll be doing on the canvas. Just crunching it like that. And maybe I want it a little bit darker than that, a little bit darker. So I'm going to grab more Viridian Hue, more of this mountain mix color before we continue any further. I think that's a little too light. Now let's try it. And it's easy. We just go over what we did because it's a darker color. And now since this is mixing with that white, let's go darker again. We can do whatever we want. Okay. I wanted to contrast a little bit more with those really bright lights that we already made. Dig into a little bit of everything, and then, yeah, there we go. I'm really just crunching that brush. You can probably hear it. Just crunching that number 6 fan brush right in there. Okay. Let's fill this out on the bottom. Clean that 2-inch brush, just wipe it off on some towels. Mist out the bottom, pretty much like we did with the mountain. I'll put another set of trees here. And these will be even darker. All right. Number 6 fan brush again. Let's see. Viridian Hue, mountain color, right there. And now we need some help from the black. We need some help from this Ivory Black color. And that's why I have it there. All right, same way. These will just look a little bit closer though. And I'm going to make a few in the front here that will be a little bit more detailed. All right, for example, let's go into some straight up black. Right here. More Viridian Hue maybe. And just not a lot. Just maybe maybe one right here. And just go with the corner of the fan brush only. And since these trees, it's a little bit more detailed, but they're still far away. So I'm really trying to be conscious of just using that top corner of the fan brush. And since the color here is a little bit darker, it's standing out from those background trees. See? It's still very subtle, very subtle. Maybe there's one right there. Corner of the brush only, corner of the brush only. And when we put more of these trees in the foreground, maybe off to the side over here, we can use a little bit more of the fan brush and just work our way from the corner to the whole thing, because they'll be closer to us. But when you're putting trees like this in there, it's really just a matter of corner only. As a matter of fact, my tree tutorial, which you can check out on the upper right hand corner if you have trouble painting trees, you know, I really stress about using the corner of that fan brush, because that's the mistake that a lot of people tend to make, especially beginners. They just don't realize you have to be in the habit of just using that corner and that corner only. There we are. And how about just one more? Or I don't know, I'll see how I feel later. And corner. And not starting at the very top either. See, I just use a little bit more of the brush. Not the whole thing though. It's just too far away. All right. I'll fix this a little bit over here. And maybe that's it for now. Maybe I will put more here, but I want to make it look like it's coming this way. So I'm just going to leave it for now. Wipe off the 2-inch brush on a towel again, and on the bottom, mist that out. Very easy, very easy. Just crunch that brush in. All right.
Nice, very nice.
Okay, now we really have to give our number 6 fan brush a full cleaning. And I always wipe it off first on paper towels or shop towels before I dip it into the solvent, because the less of that stuff you use, the better. And while I go do that, you guys do the same, but Stay tuned because I have a special treat for you coming up on this commercial break. Okay, everybody. So we're on a little break right now. I want to introduce you all to Miss Heidi Novak. And did I say that right?
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Now, Heidi, we met through social media on Instagram, right? Through our art pages.
That's correct. Yes.
So before we get into your artwork and what it is you do, given the nature of the painting I'm doing today and the painting I see behind you, can you, if you will, educate us a little bit on the Northern Lights? What is this phenomenon exactly? Why is it even possible to see this aurora? How can we see it, and what parts of the world are they visible?
Okay. Yeah, that's those are great questions, and I get those in my DM a lot. So basically, I've been studying the Northern Lights intensely for the last almost 10 years. But I grew up seeing them here. I live in northern Minnesota, so we see the Northern Lights. So it's been something I'm able to see out my backyard. That being said, in the northern latitudes in the lower 48 states, you can't always see the Northern Lights. They look kind of like white fog or like white clouds dancing and swirling in the sky. During an intense solar storm, there will be colors in there as well. So the more intense the storm in the lower 48, the more color you'll be able to see. If you really do want to see the Northern Lights, if they're high on your bucket list, I suggest going to Alaska, and then if you are in the United States, and if you live elsewhere, Norway, Iceland, places like that would be a great place to go to see the Northern Lights. The basic science behind it is there are basically two ways that we get the Northern Lights, and they are through coronal holes on the sun, or what are known as CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, which are basically like a volcano erupting on the sun, shooting plasma to the earth. When this happens, the average travel speed is about 3 days. So when you see in the news, there's a CME or something, usually average travel time is about 3 days to reach us, which is kind of cool. So we track that. I'm in part of a space weather group that tracks the activity on the sun, and we track plasma, track the trajectory, track the speeds, things like that, so that when it does arrive in the US or in, I guess, on our globe in America or Norway or any of those places, we have kind of an indication of when it's going to arrive here. The reason that's pretty valuable is because of sometimes these solar storms can cause radio blackouts. They can interfere with aircraft navigation systems. So it's like kind of really important to keep track of that stuff. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Wow. See, I knew you were an expert. Now,
yeah.
I've mentioned this many times on my channel that I'm not a fan of the winter and the cold weather, but after everything you just told me, I might have to do some traveling in order to see these lights for myself. I think it's definitely something that one should see for their own eyes, like, on a bucket list, as you say.
Yes, and honestly, if you're not a fan of the cold weather, I don't know how you can't be, because I absolutely love winter. But there are igloos that you can rent that are actually heated, and they're glass domes. They have them in Norway, they have them in Alaska, they have them in Iceland, and you don't even have to go outside. You can literally just stay in your bed, nice and warm, and watch the Northern Lights through your glass igloo. So you don't have to even dress up to go out.
Wow. Okay. So I literally have no reason not to go now. That was some bonus content. Thank you. Thank you. Aside from your knowledge of the Northern Lights, you're also a photographer, right?
Yeah, so actually what got me into photography was I wanted to document some of these solar storms that we get so that we can compare the data. So sometimes the data and what you see doesn't quite match up. So by capturing the Northern Lights with your camera, then you can compare it to past solar storms, and then you can get better at analyzing the data.
But it's not like, is it as easy as just taking a picture or a video? Because are you able to just capture something like that on a normal camera? Do you have to do something special? Or do you really have to know what you're doing?
So in the lower 48, you kind of have to know how to do long exposure photography. So you do have to keep that shutter open. You need a tripod, things like that. But if you were to go to Alaska or something, any old point and shoot camera would work during a solar storm because it's so vibrant and moving so fast that you don't need the longer exposure.
You know, Heidi, I checked your website, and aside from Northern Lights, your photography seems to be very nature and wildlife based. It's really great work, beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Give us all your plugs, all your social media where everybody can find your work and see it.
Okay, so on Instagram and also my website is chasingghostphotography.com. The chasing ghost comes from obviously chasing the Northern Lights, which the natives believed was the spirits of the deceased going up to heaven. So they believed that when the Northern Lights were occurring, that was kind of a big send off and it was something to be celebrated. So that's kind of where my I got the name for my photography. On Facebook, I actually wore the sweatshirt. So it's Upper Midwest Aurora Chasers. If you want to find us on Facebook, we do forecast for the lower 48 states. So then if you were to be in an area, maybe that has the potential, like tonight actually looks like a good night, that there might be potential, then we would post an alert in that group.
That is awesome.
So,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, and you seem to be branching out aside from photography with some painting.
Yeah, so obviously where you live as well in New York, we get a lot of cloudy nights, and cloudy nights are not very fun for doing a whole lot of stuff. So I did venture down the rabbit hole of painting, and that's how I found you. And that's been pretty exciting for me because then when I can't actually be out there capturing the Northern Lights, I've been able to be inside practicing. And it's just kind of a really nice creative outlet. And I've really enjoyed learning to paint through your channel.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And, you know, you are a true artist because, you know, I always say if you can't do what you normally do, you know, try your hand at another craft. And I want to thank you for constantly keeping in touch with me and sending what you're working on painting wise. It's really good stuff. I'm going to show the world what you've been working on too. And
that's scary.
No, it's great. It's great. And, you know, before today, I myself haven't even done a Northern Lights painting. So hopefully everybody likes it. Hopefully you think it looks authentic as well, but you'll see. And
yeah, I'm excited to paint along with you.
Yes, that's kind of my motto. And, you know, it's just artists of all type coming together. And, you know, whether you've been painting your whole life or if you're a beginner, you try one of my videos. It's just nice to know that out of all the videos out there, like, you know, of course, if someone picks mine and paints along and has a laugh here and there, it's great. I just love artwork in general. I love creative people. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why I decided to have you on, especially given the nature of the painting that I'm doing today. So, yeah.
That's been very exciting to collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. And I constantly try to do that with as many artists as possible too. I try to have a different artist featured on each episode. So Heidi, I want to thank you so much for being with us. All the knowledge you have, like, wow, I'm walking away, you know, much more knowledgeable and smarter about what this actually is. And for anyone else out there who was wondering, now you know. Heidi, is there anything else you want to say to us?
No, just thanks a lot for having me on board and letting me talk about the thing I'm most passionate about, but also thank you for your adding laughter into your tutorials so that my ADHD brain can stay focused and keep working on the project. So that's been
you have ADHD. Painting is the greatest thing to do for that, you know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it really is.
So thank you once again, Heidi Novak, ladies and gentlemen. I am gonna put her website and her social media, the link to her Instagram down in the description below. You should all check it out. I appreciate you doing this with us, and just thank you again. And please keep in touch, keep sending me paintings, and I'll keep checking out your work.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, Heidi Novak, ladies and gentlemen, how freaking cool was that? All along, we were painting to that kind of a phenomenon. Isn't that great? Well, let's grab the palette and continue. Okay, now the same thing with the highlights on the mountain, all looking snowy, but with a touch of green. I want to do the same thing here for some landmass. I want to set these trees on and go into Viridian Hue, probably like that. Maybe a little bit more. You decide. Don't want it too dark, don't want it too bright. I think that's pretty good. And now I'm going to start from here, and I'm just going to flick the fan brush upwards and maybe start right there. Now this is sort of kind of like, even though we're doing something completely different, kind of like when we were tapping up here, except we were kind of making down motions. I'm going up like this. I just want to make a landmass. Maybe it gets bigger and bigger as it goes along over here. I think I'm gonna stop at about right there. And yeah, it's good to step back from your painting and see it from a distance to decide what it is exactly you want to do. Okay. A little bit more white. Now I'm just gonna wipe some of this white paint off on a shop towel, just the excess. I'm not gonna fully clean the brush, because here's what we're gonna do. All right, still have a little bit of white paint on there, as you can see, but not a lot. And I'm just gonna go here and gently lift like that. What that does is like kind of shows you the bottom of the trees in the distance there. There you are. I'll put some bigger ones here because this is coming closer to us like that. Now I actually have two number 6 fan brushes here, even though this one's a little bigger than that one. This one's from Simply Simmons. I don't know why. They're both number 6 fan brushes, but the one on the left is bigger than the right. I guess it depends on the brand. So if you only have one number 6 fan brush, fully clean that one over again. And I'm not going to do it because we already went on a little break, and I don't want to bore you guys.
Boring. This is really boring. You really need to up the energy level. I'm getting sick of this.
Mostly black. And more distant trees over here. And let's make a very big tree, our first very big tree. Maybe about right here. Yeah, I like where that is. And just the corner of the brush. Now, it might be a little hard to see, but we will be putting a little bit of highlight on it, a little bit, because we are getting closer. Okay. Just fix that at the top. More Viridian Hue. All right. Gonna give it a brother right there. That's his brother. We're gonna make a whole family of trees. You know, I've looked online where you can see the northern lights, and you know, there's really just nothing but these trees all over where you can see those. And like Heidi said, all those locations. A simple Google search will show you guys. Okay, a little bit more like that. And down, down. Perfect. Show a little bit of the foots, just the bottom of the trees, like right there. Maybe this one is not as tall. And top, always at the top, whether you're making a tree like this or a little bit closer, very, very corner. And you do not use the rest of the fan brush until you get down further. See? More paint, always more paint. This one's a little taller. Corner. And you just go to the left, you go to the right, go to the left, go to the right, and work your way down. Turn the brush over if you need to. You got paint on the other side, so why not? And there we go. Folks, I can't thank you all again for your support. And, you know, once again, if you have trouble making these trees, check out that video I have on it. I go into a lot more detail. And that's my most popular video, actually. So if any of you ever felt like you needed to do something for me, the best thing you could do is share the channel. If you're already subscribed, you liked every video, just share it. You know, word gets around, and especially share it with anybody you feel can benefit if they're having trouble with their paintings and their artwork, because you know how it is. And that's the best thing. Hopefully we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before season 2 debuts. That would be great. I would love you guys forever. Not that I don't already do. Okay, one last tree maybe right here, and this will be the fullest one, because out of all the trees we made so far, it'll be the closest. I'm just pushing down with the corner. And again, to the left, to the right, left, right, left, right, left.
Left, right, left.
More and more of that corner, almost using the whole brush now. There we are. Showing a little leaves over here. That's all. Just fixing up the bottom there, because I want it to look like that. There we are.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Ugh! Get it away from me, man!
And we'll put the highlights on these trees so you can see them better in a second, but let's make where the water is here. Now, when I was making the sky, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to end up here with the middle and the foreground, but we can do it now. So let's go into our Viridian Hue and do the same thing we did with the sky. Let's fill out, yeah. Got a little bit of white in there, but that's okay. Helps us see a little better where we're gonna put this water. I would think that these lights are so bright, they're just reflecting down here, you know? That's how it makes sense to me. All right. I'll use the same dirty 2-inch brush. It doesn't matter. Might even be better. And same thing. Where did we put? Now decide, don't just put it wherever. Where's going to be the brightest spot in the water? I think here, because this is going to shine right down here. And just go not very firmly on the canvas. I want a light touch. I want a light touch here. There we are. maybe we don't see it as much here because this is covered by shadows. All right, wipe off some excess paint again. Don't need that much. Wipe off that excess paint on the 2-inch brush on your shop towels, right? And now just gently go side to side. And there you go, you have your water. Those beautiful northern lights reflecting right down in there. Look at that. There we are. Take your knife, put some white out over here. Cut across. We're cutting differently than we made those other rolls for like the mountain and stuff. We're just slicing like that. Here's what it looks like from the side. And really we're concerned about the layer of paint which you can't see on the top of the knife. And we're just going to slice in water lines here where the bank of land meets the water. I'm just going left and right, back and forth. If you run out of paint, just slice again and do it over. This is a little bit of a detail that just helps establish where everything is. Keep that knife leveled. See, as I go down here like that, even though the water is kind of coming this way, still keeping that knife leveled, and I'm just working myself down. I'm not tilting it like this, you know? It's very important. There we are. Of course, you can decide how much of these water lines you want, and definitely put some stuff in the middle, in places somewhere here. There we are. Okay, we've been focusing too much on the right. Let's put some stuff onto the left. Let's finish up that Viridian Hue, this dark color here. And of course, another tree right about here. All right. I know it's hard to see right now, but trust me, if you're painting along, I know you see it. And we'll bring it out with the highlights in a sec. Guess I'm going to bring it down right about there. It's good enough for me. Let's take what's left over of all our dark color, even some red, because we have a lot of that left over. We're going to need quite a lot of paint. I'll get tongue-tied again for what we need next. Let's take the black. We're actually going to need more Viridian Hue later, so if you run out like I do, put some more on your palette, just a little bit more. Okay. All right, now, hopefully that's enough. I'll take a clean 1-inch brush, load it up really nice, full of paint. And notice how I'm loading it? Dragging it down, just dragging it down. And when you do it like this on both sides, what happens is the top gets really, really sharp like that. That's what you want. It's going to take quite a lot of paint to do it, because we're going to make another tree just like these, just with the 1-inch brush. But before we can do that, we have to make sure that brush is just chiseled. And we make a, just to be safe, I'm going to do it with, make the mark with the fan brush right there. All right, it's going to be our biggest tree yet. I have not gone over this in my tutorials yet, but my next tree tutorial, I promise I will. Okay, corner, just the corner. Again. I'm just touching. As I go down, more and more of that brush. It's very dark, I know. Probably can't see it. But it is there. Trust me. That's why we have to make sure we have a bright sky, so we have enough contrast. All right. I actually have more paint than I thought I would, so I'm actually going to add one more tree. You don't have to if you don't want to. Let me just touch this up a little bit. The reason why I don't usually do the 1-inch brush to make these trees is because after a while, the 1-inch brush, you know, it gets harder and harder after you use it so much to make that chiseled edge. And let me make one more tree right here. Now, if you decide you have enough trees in your painting, you leave it like that. What I really like is anybody who's following along to my paintings, how they just add in, or they don't do it exactly. They try not to make a carbon copy of my painting. You know, there's little things here and there that they decide to do that I didn't do, or they leave out. Great. That's how you really make it your own. I'm going to take that dirty 2-inch brush and give it a really, really, really good wipe. Just really try to get as much paint as possible right off there. Not going to fully clean it with solvent, or at least not just yet. And you just flip it over, and you do it like this. And just tap it. Tap it like we do on the palette. That helps get a lot of it out. Okay. Let's take the rest of our titanium white with that semi-dirty 2-inch brush. Drag that out. And decide where we want this landmass in the foreground. Maybe we start and it just comes right over here. And here. And we just fill this in. Wonderful. Okay.
Impressive. Very nice.
Now I ran out of green, so I'm going to put some more of that Viridian Hue for what's next right on my palette. You do the same if you need to, because now we got to make the highlights for all these trees, or at least the ones that are closest to us. So we do that by using the same, you can use the same clear medium that you used when we began the painting. So in my case, a little bit of linseed oil. So I'm going to dip my brush in there. My number 6 fan brush with the white paint that I had on earlier, and put it right there and grab a little bit of that Viridian Hue, just a little bit.
A little bit spicy.
You decide how vibrant you want these highlights. And we're putting some linseed oil medium to thin this paint because a thin paint sticks to a thick paint, right? One of the rules in this technique that you cannot forget. You absolutely have to follow that. Let's start very subtly here. Place one. It's hard to see these trees, so we need to bring them out now. Since this is a little bit further, I don't want as many highlights. So maybe even that's just it for that. That's all that one gets. You can dip into more of that clear medium if you need to. And right up here, and just the corner again. And there we are. All right, another tree. Wow, we made a lot of trees, didn't we? Now they all need their own highlights. Perfect. Up here, right? If there's anything that I have not gone over, or you guys have any questions that nobody else has asked, please don't hesitate to comment below. I really try to get to all of them. Cool. And you know, maybe there's something I can learn from you guys too. Just the tiniest bit here. We use the very, very corner for these trees, right? So we have to use the very corner for the highlights as well. See? Just touching, not a lot. Now maybe since this is a little bit closer to us, we can go a little bit brighter with these highlights. And let's start with the biggest one, yeah. Let's just get into that. See, now you can really see that tree. Perfect. We had one little one here, right? So we need some highlights. Okay. Oh, that's the last one. All right. Well, here we are. Highlight there, highlight there. Maybe we skip a branch or two. Great. And I think, you know, because it's a winter scene, the snow is weighing down the branches, and so we're not going to be able to see those trunks. So I'm not going to make them. Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
But what I will do is make some bushes. So I'm going to grab a different 1-inch brush, get the rest of that Viridian Hue, just pick it up, mix it with that dark color right here, and, you know, pulling it in one direction like this. I go over this in the tree and foliage tutorials, like that. And I don't know if you can see these little grainy things that are happening in the bottom when you do that, but that's a good indication that you have a good amount of paint, not only on your brush, but it's gonna do the effect that we want it to do, because what this does is when we drag down that 1-inch brush, it rounds out that bottom, see? And I'm gonna flip it over and make some bushes right here and just go, we're just touching. we have to put the dark parts in first. Without dark, there is no light, or you won't be able to see it. And there we are. Okay, now, with the same 1-inch brush, go into a little bit of linseed oil. We need thin paint now, right? Go there, we need it a little brighter, and we have so much white left still. And again, you see what's happening? See how you can see the indication of all those little bristles? That's what we want. And if we did not thin our paint out like this, they probably won't stick. So hopefully I thinned it out well. All right, that's good. Okay. Now be very conscious of where you're placing the highlights for these bushes. You want some dark to still show. And there we are. In the dark here, we can scratch in a twig or two, just with the knife. And you can take your liner brush, dip it into the linseed oil. What we can do is thin out some of this dark color here. If you have linseed oil running down your palette, that's a good sign. And you can make some more distinguished twigs coming out. See? And there we are.
Wow.
Well, folks, I certainly hope you've enjoyed painting with me once again. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for being here. Seriously, all of you have always been with me. And remember to like the video, subscribe, share the channel so we can all paint together, and like up the Facebook, follow on Instagram, and follow on TikTok, because I'm going to do one last little detail on this painting that you'll only be able to see there. You can still see it if you don't have TikTok, but if you have it, be sure to follow along because there'll be more content on there. And the next tutorial, the next painting will be up soon enough. So like I said, you got to turn on those notification bells.
No, I don't think I will.
So yeah, folks, that's it. The end of season 1. What did you think, and what do you think of this painting? Wow. That palette really is mighty. Well, like I said, thank you to all who think my content is great. Apparently, the term a hater doesn't think so. So, till next time, folks, keep your dreams high and your pompadours in the sky. Let's paint together.